Hey, good evening. I have 6:30. Call to order meeting number 1921 of the East Windsor Planning and Zoning Commission. We are here live in the John Daly Meeting Room of East Windsor Town Hall, as well as on the Zoom platform. We're going to begin our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a quorum. We have all 5 regular members present, as well as our alternate. Are there any added agenda items for this evening? Legal notices, there were 2. The East Windsor Planning Zoning Commission will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, July 14th, 2026 at 6:30 p.m. Details regarding how to attend will be published on the commission's agenda and will be made available on the town's website. PZ 2026-16, the applicant owner is Aldi Incorporated. RE Hospitality Group LLC is requesting a special use permit for alcohol sales, grocery beer liquor permit for Aldi Supermarket located at 151 Prospect Hill Road, East Windsor, Connecticut, 06088, map 112, block 4, lot 26, zone is an HIZ. Full copy of the application is available on the Planning and Zoning Commission's webpage of the town's website. All interested persons may attend this meeting and provide verbal or written comments regarding this application. This was published in the Journal Enquirer on July 3rd, 2026, and again on July 10th, 2026. Next legal notice is the East Windsor Planning and Zoning Commission will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, July 14th, 2026 at 6:30 p.m. Details regarding how to attend will be published on the commission's agenda and will be made available on the town's website. PZ 2026-17, the applicant owner is North Winkler EW LLC, is requesting a zone change from B3 and A1 to PCDD on a portion of the 120 North Road, also known as on the assessor's map 124, block 24-11. Full copies of the application are available on the Planning and Zoning Commission's webpage of the town's website. All interested persons may attend this meeting and provide verbal or written comments regarding this application. And this was published in the Journal Enquirer on July 3rd, 2026, and again on July 10th, 2026. We are at the public participation portion of our meeting. Is there anyone of the public that would like to speak on a topic that is not on tonight's agenda? Nobody online? Moving on to approval minutes. We have the minutes for our last meeting held on June 23rd, 2026. Does anyone have any edits or corrections? No?
We established the quorum. Can we put the consultant, Mike Connell in there? Also, make a note that he was part of the table and contributor. I guess we're looking for.
He's not a commissioner, right?
Yeah.
Okay, just so noted. Okay, on line one.
Now you're not important.
I'm happy to be unimportant. It's the best place to be.
Okay, Mike. Okay, line 50, item 4. B is just X. I don't know what that represents. That supposed to be there?
In line 50?
150.
150. Okay.
B,
50 as well.
I would strike line 150 in its entirety.
Right.
150.
Oh, it's just an X.
Okay.
And 153, it says had. 5A single had should be hard copy.
And it should be 5, period.
5 period, a single hard copy.
Right.
Okay,
Yes.
so 5 period.
Yes.
And then had should be
Hard copy.
Yes.
And the same thing on item line 365, had should be hard.
Same thing. 5 period.
That's all I have.
Okay. Anyone else?
I'll give you mine.
Okay.
Line 45. Website this morning, not this morning. Yeah.
Morning should be morning.
Line 51. Says drinking water, and it should be stormwater and wetlands.
Anyone
Then I call your attention to line 128 and 135.
else? 1 second. So the last one she just said was line 51.
51, strike drinking water and insert stormwater and wetlands. Because that's what those lines were about. Line 128 and 135 indicate Paul Dow's wife's name is Jennifer something, and it's two different spellings, two different last names. I don't know which one is right.
Right at 128 and the other one was what?
135, she's, unless she has two different last names. What?
Jennifer, what?
That's,
Okay.
Okay.
Everyone's right.
I'm guessing that. Got that one way. Line 302. It says why note, and I think it should be why not. That's it.
Anyone else?
Nope.
Anything further? I want to entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the draft meeting minutes from Tuesday, June 23rd, meeting 1920, with edits we discussed.
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second? Second. By Dave. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
It's approved, unanimous. Okay, next item is receipt of applications. We have 3 to receive this week. PZ 2026-18. The applicant owner is Quinnipiac Valley Growth Partners LLC. A&D Ballas Entertainment Enterprises is requesting a special use permit for a cannabis retail establishment located at 4 Prospect Hill Road, unit number 4, map 81, block 18, lot 18. Zone is a B2. We have PZ 2026-19. The applicant owner is the East Windsor Historic Society. Is requesting a site plan modification for construction of a 32 by 80-foot building on an existing foundation. The building will include toilet facilities, office area, meeting area, an education center, display area located at 115 Scannick Road, map 64, block 32, lot 28A. Zone is a B1, A1, and A2. And PZ 2026-20, the applicant owner is TCWC Holdings East Windsor LLC, is requesting a site plan modification to the existing 3-bay car wash previously approved on September 9th, 2003. Applicant is proposing eliminating 1 car wash bay and constructing an addition to extend the remaining bay into a 135-foot long tunnel located at 30 South Main Street, map 71, block 11, lot 7. The zone is a B2. These applications will be heard at a future meeting. Performance bonds, actions, permit extensions, road acceptance, we have none. Continued public hearings, we have none. Move on to new public hearings. First one we have is PZ 2026-16. The applicant owner is Aldi Incorporated, RE Hospitality Group LLC is requesting a special use permit for alcohol sales, grocery beer, liquor permit for Aldi Supermarket located at 115 Prospect Hill Road, map 12, block 4, lot 26. Zone is an HIZ. Who's here to speak on behalf of this application?
Would you like me to stand?
There's a microphone at the podium.
And these on here, thank you. Good evening. For the record, my name's Megan Hope. I'm an attorney with Alter, Pearson and Hope in Glastonbury. I'm representing Aldi Inc. They are the operator of the proposed Aldi. It's currently under construction at 151 Prospect Hill Road. It was approved by the commission back in April of last year. What we'd like to do is apply for a grocery beer permit with the Department of Consumer Protection. In order to do that, we need a sign off from the zoning official in East Windsor. And in order to get that, we need to obtain a special use permit from the commission. So we submitted an application for a special permit to allow alcohol sales at the grocery store. In accordance with section 502 of your regulations, alcohol sales are permitted in the HIZ zone. You do have some dimensional requirements in section 805 of the regulation subsection A, which indicate that no alcohol-related sales are permitted within 500 feet of any public or private school. And so what we did is we went to the GIS, drew the 500-foot buffer, and then looked within that area to see if there were any schools or daycare centers, and there were not. You do have some exemptions in section 504 where you don't have to apply or don't have to comply with the dimensional requirements if you are a hotel or a restaurant or a catering establishment, but we didn't meet any of those because we are a grocery store. So we checked the dimensional requirements, we met them, and therefore feel that there's no issues with the application. It's very straightforward. The alcohol component of the grocery store is fairly de minimis. It's about a 20,000 square foot store, and it's honestly only a couple hundred square feet of actual retail space for the sale of beer. We obviously will comply with all the requirements of the Department of Consumer Protection, the placarding and the hours of sale, no sale on holidays and all of that. So pretty straightforward application. I did submit the signed affidavit to Katrina and the certificate of mailing via email, and I gave the hard copies up at the beginning of the public hearing. So I'm happy to answer any questions that the commission has.
So I'll start off. The hours that the store is going to be open.
The hours, I believe the store is going to be open from the sort of 8 to 8 range, is my understanding. Then obviously the liquor is restricted. So that's 8 to 10, Monday to Saturday, and then Sunday, 10 to 6.
So there will be physical.
Physical, they put like the curtains down, yes, cover the towers, correct.
That was all that I had. Jim, anything?
I got nothing.
Wayne? Yeah?
Nope.
Dave?
Sir,
Casey?
All set.
Well, I guess I am the only.
Easy.
straightforward. You got an easy one.
It wasn't too much. I didn't even make a PowerPoint because it.
I mean, it would be in unison with every other grocery store in town.
Yeah, it's expected, I think, at this point to have a little bit of alcohol.
Something, yeah.
Beer anyway.
Beer and wine, yeah.
Can they
Have any,
You're not allowed to sell wine, no.
sell?
Beer and just, that's a state rule. So beer and then some certain malt liquor or malt beverages and ciders, but yeah, no wine.
Okay.
Got to go south for that.
so this is the public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience that to comment on this application?
Buckley, King's Court. It's considered a grocery store.
Correct.
The grocery store sell hard liquor.
Oh, they're not allowed to sell hard liquor. That's a state rule.
Because I got a little misled by the way it's stated as liquor.
So,
General term.
yeah, I've had that question before, and the state calls it a grocery beer liquor permit. So I think the liquor term is what's confusing, and I don't disagree, but I always go online and I check the name, and that's what they call it. So I don't know, but you're not allowed to sell liquor.
Oh, it's just limited to beer and wine.
Correct. No,
Wine.
just beer.
Yep.
No wine.
Beer only. Beverages and
Yes.
ciders.
Yes.
Just beer, huh?
Just beer, yeah.
Okay, but no.
A non-alcoholic beer, I'd imagine. Yeah.
And soda, whatever.
Anyone else? Okay, go.
Thank you.
So if no one on the commission has anything else, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Make a motion to close the public hearing on application PZ 2026-16. The applicant owner is Aldi Inc. Ara Hospitality Group requesting a special use permit for alcohol sales.
We have a motion to close the public hearing. Do we have a second?
Second.
And by Dave. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
I,
Public hearing is closed. Okay. I'll entertain a motion on this application.
I'll make a motion to approve application PZ 2026-16 for a special use permit for alcohol sales at Aldi located at 151 Prospect Hill Road. Assessors map 112, block 4, lot 26. The zone is HIZ. The owner applicant is Ara Hospitality Group LLC. This approval is granted subject to the conformance with the application materials with the following conditions. 1, this approval shall be filed on the East Windsor Land Records. And 2, any changes to the license type issued by the Connecticut Liquor Control Commission will require modification of this special permit.
We have a motion to approve the application. Do we have a second?
second.
Second by Dave. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
I,
Aye.
Unanimous, you have your approval. Welcome. Okay. Public hearing we have is PZ 2026-17. The applicant owner is North Winkler EW LLC. He's requesting a zone change from B3 and A1 to PCDD on a portion of 120 North Road, also known as Assessors 124, Block 24, Lot 11. Who's here to speak on behalf of this application?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Nice to see you all again. My name's Andrea Gomes. I'm an attorney at Hinckley Allen in Hartford at 20 Church Street. It's really difficult to follow the person who's bringing beer to East Windsor, but I will absolutely do my best. So with me tonight, we have a bit of a team. I have my colleague here from Hinckley, Olalea Onukuyade, with me. On behalf of North Winkler, we have Ralph Sylvester and Dylan Christopher in the back there. Tom Daly, of course, our consulting civil engineer with SLR, and David Sullivan, also with SLR, our traffic engineer, should be here shortly. If he's not able to make it, then Tom is just as qualified to be able to present on the traffic, so that won't slow us down. And then, of course, we have Sal Talamo from the Sullivan Architectural Group, our consulting architect for this application. So as always, I start my presentation after introductions with a couple of, put my lawyer hat on, a couple of procedural housekeeping matters just to ensure that they're clear for the record. We had a number of notice requirements for this application. The notice of the public hearing was published on July 3rd and July 10th in the Journal Inquirer, and the rezoning materials, meaning the meets and bounds and the zone change map, was filed with the town clerk at more than 10 days in advance of the public hearing, actually at the end of June, on June 25th. A big thank you to staff for assisting both with the newspaper publication and the town clerk filing. We did post the required signs on the property, presented and completed the mailing to 100-foot abutters. And we did so from the entire property line, not just the area we're rezoning, which I'll get back to in just a moment. We did that on July 1st. So we have met our numerous notice obligations for this public hearing. Now, diving right into our submission, again, still a little bit of more procedure for the record. We started this application, at least with the town of East Windsor, on May 7th with a pre-application meeting, which of course is required by your regulations. I was very impressed. We had almost a full house in this room. Very impressed that Ruth could get everyone, almost, I think, at least one representative, sometimes two or three from almost every department in town, plus Eversource, which was, I think, the shocker there. So we did start with that May 7th meeting. It was a great conversation. We presented the overall development, explained the approvals process that we were proceeding under, which I'll get into in a second. And we discussed, some nitty gritty things like fire access and building code compliance and energy loads and things like that. But overall, I'd say that the feedback from staff and the various representatives was very positive. The meeting minutes of that meeting, which again qualifies as the report of the pre-app meeting, are in your tabbed application package at, I believe, here it is. Minutes of May 7th, tab 3. So that is there for your review as well. Following that meeting, we assembled our application, finalized that, made some tweaks, and ultimately filed on June 18th. We received some preliminary staff comments on the application, which we responded to on July 10th. The commission should have, I handed out before this meeting, hard copies of those comments. Of course, we overall, I'll say that the comments are, for the most part, site plan level comments for the final approvals process, having to do with final site layout, final building design, with reference to the design guidelines and the regulations, and so on and so forth. We are going to address a number of those comments throughout tonight's presentation. And of course, we are very interested in hearing the commission's feedback and answering questions that we can. But again, just want to reiterate, a lot of those will be finalized for the final special permit and site plan application that we need to go through in order to actually build this. That being said, I'm going to address just two initial comments from that response document. The first is the comment number 1. There was a suggestion from staff that we file the lot line revision prior to the public hearing because there was a concern, I believe, that we had only noticed from the portion of 120 North Road that we are rezoning and not the entirety of the parcel. Lucky for us, I tend to be more conservative, very conservative on notice. So we actually did the 100-foot abutters off the entire parcel, not just the area we're rezoning. So we got everyone and then some. So after discussions with Ms. Calabrese, we were in agreement that there was no legal or practical need to file the lot line revision in advance of tonight. That will obviously come after the approval when we finalize that. And that's noted. And then the second comment I'm just going to reference is there was a question about the name of the proposed development or the proposed community, and that's going to be Bass Farms, and that's now in writing and thus part of the record. So with that, I'm going to ask, Mike, are you controlling PowerPoint or is it Ruth? Thank you. So thank you. Next slide. And again, just for the record, everyone has hard copies of the same presentation. Should you want to take any notes, there are some extra copies up here in this Redwell as well. So I'll start with just a brief overview of the site at 120 North Road. You'll see that red pin there. And honestly, the somewhat unwooded portion or cleared portion of the site generally follows where we are proposing to rezone and ultimately redevelop. The site is 60 acres. It's located in the B3 zone, but it's also located in the agricultural A1 zone. That's located further to the south of that property. And there are, as you'll hear a little bit tonight, some substantial wetlands on site, which certainly constrains development towards North Road itself, surrounded, of course, by a variety of uses, including commercial uses and single-family homes to the northeast and west, and the Skylark Airport further to the south. On this slide, you'll see this is actually an excerpt from your plan of conservation and development. The subject property is actually highlighted in red and labeled there. We are called out, as you can see in the POCD, as part of the Northern Business Corridor, which notes there's several, I believe it's at pages 49 to 50 of the POCD, but ultimately mixed use residential and commercial uses are noted in that table you have in your POCD as the most desirable uses for this area of the corridor. So we are hitting that nail on the head, so to speak. Next slide, Mike. Thank you. All right, so here is our proposed, I'm calling it a master plan. I believe your regulations call it an overall concept plan or plan of development. The proposal here is to develop a portion of the site. Again, this is not the entirety of 120 North Road, with a multifamily community of 180 apartment homes in one building. That's that larger kind of F-shaped building on the southerly portion of the site. The 180 apartment homes are broken into 124 one-bedroom units, 52 two-bedroom units, and 4 three-bedroom units as required by your regulations. We are also proposing a commercial building, an approximately 7,000 square foot, one-story medical office building in the northeast corner of the site that you can see there up closer to North Road. The application, of course, we mentioned, I think we have a utilities narrative in our application, and I cover that in my tab 1 cover letter. The final plan will, of course, include associated site improvements, some of which are visible here, others which are not. Parking, landscaping, driveways, stormwater, lighting, and so on and so forth. I'll also note that the long-term goal is to also take that, I'll call it that blank portion to the, if you see the medical office building to the northeast corner, on the northwest corner by the driveway, thank you, Mike, that blank area. The hope is to eventually have that as a pad site. Of course, we understand we need to come back and get more approvals, but potentially another commercial building there at some future time to, again, fill in, that's true infill development, fill in that blank space as called out for in your POCD. I cover this in our tab 1 letter in our application, but this proposal directly meets a number of your goals in the POCD, but it meets the goal of providing development, including residential, as I mentioned, along the northerly business corridor. Also furthers other goals in the POCD, including expanding housing opportunities and design choices to accommodate a variety of household types. And there are further details on the different ways that we comply or further the POCD in our tab 1 letter. Now, Mike, if you would just go to the next slide. Thank you. So I was really appreciative to SLR for putting this plan together, because I know one of the questions this commission likely remembers, we were here earlier this year for 173 North Road on the northerly side, or further to the east from our site. So Mr. Daly put this together to just give the commission an idea of where these two developments are located relative to one another. Obviously, you have 120 North Road, the subject of this application, to the west or to the left on the screen, and 173, which has already been approved in the northeast or top right corner of the screen. So as the commission likely recalls, that application was a simultaneous zone change, special permit, and site plan application. So we went in and all at the same time in one foul swoop. We've taken a different approach with this application, and we've done so very intentionally. Of course, as the commission knows, we're here tonight under what's called the proactive approach in your regulations, and it really is just the zone change so that we can be rezoned to the PCDD, and ultimately get approval from the commission for this master plan or the preliminary concept plan. And the reason we did this is because we wanted to be able to get our approval as soon as possible to begin discussions with the Office of State Traffic Administration on traffic. So as the commission may recall from our discussions earlier this year on 173, OSTA won't talk to you until you have zoning approvals. So it's a bit of a chicken and the egg problem. Of course, we rely on our consultants who have a lot of experience dealing with OSTA on what is appropriate from a design perspective. We are not going in blind. We design what we believe professionally OSTA will want to see. But in order to give the commission further comfort on the overall traffic scenario in this area, we wanted to be able to get a zoning approval as soon as possible so that we could begin discussions with OSTA on 120 North Road while we are also discussing 173 North Road. And that was done in conjunction with, and actually I believe at the suggestion of staff, to enable that discussion. And that way, when we come back for special permit and site plan, we will hopefully have feedback and guidance from OSTA on the traffic impacts here. You'll hear from Mr. Sullivan, who walked in a few minutes ago, in just a few moments. We stand by that the proposed development, notwithstanding 173, will not adversely impact traffic in this area, but we were hoping to give the commission that additional assurance from OSTA, and this was the quickest way to do it. Before I hand it over to Tom to go over the actual existing conditions and master plan, again, just a reminder to the commission, this is just the zone change and master plan. However, we are very interested in hearing your feedback on some of the comments that staff made, final site layout, any questions you may have on design, so on and so forth. And with that, I will hand it over to Tom.
Thank you, Andrea. For the record, Tom Daly with SLR Consulting. I'm a professional engineer licensed in the state of Connecticut. Mike, next slide. And what I would like to start with this commission is, while we are doing the two-step process, you should be rest assured that we have done an exhaustive initial review of existing conditions. So we have not skipped that part of it. We conducted a topographic and a boundary survey of this area. We have flagged the wetlands out here. We actually, if you remember, we had to do soil testing for stormwater management on 173. We jumped over here and did it at the same time. So we've done frankly, we did all the front end work. So we feel very confident that while it's called conceptual, this is a plan that's well thought out and well put together. This is an existing conditions map. One thing I just of note is, so all our maps you're seeing tonight is basically north is pointing up. So on this, so east, west, and south. So in terms of this, if you look at the aerial photographs, this area has generally been, it was basically a former farm field. So, and after you get past this, you get more into a wooded, and you also get into much more wetlands. It gets pretty soggy out there pretty quickly. We actually have a small portion of floodplain that is located just outside the development footprint to the left that is associated with the brook that comes through. But our wetland scientists went out there and flagged wetlands. And I would say is even a portion of the farm field met the definition of state Connecticut wetlands. So that was really, so we got that information very early, and it really informed the layout of this. But we have great frontage onto the state road. We have direct access to both water and sewer. If you remember on the water side, we were committed to on 173 to bring a whole new water main up through here. That was not totally unthoughtful. We knew that by extending it here, it would be at our front door as we go right by here. So the approval for 173 already includes that water main, and we have a letter from the water company saying they have sufficient capacity not only to serve 173 but also 120. Next slide. So one other thing about topographically, if you drive by through here, it's quite flat. If you remember on 173, we did have some topography we played with there. This site really from a grading standpoint is, though sometimes the flat sites can be just as challenging. To walk you through the layout here, so once again, we have North Road along the front. On the left-hand side, we have a driveway that goes out here. We strategically, granted the driveway across the street is not really going to anything that generates significant traffic, but from a traffic planning perspective, aligning curb cuts is always good planning. So that curb cut is aligned with the driveway across the street. That will have a small landscape boulevard that comes in there and will come down into the property and basically enter. As Andrea said, it's an F-shaped building, and really that affords two unique opportunities. So on the left area, we actually created a nice drop-off area. So if you have visitors or you have groceries or you just want to pick up a friend on your way, you have a nice little drop-off area. That'll be our front door to the building. The other thing about the shape of the building, it really created a real nice opportunity for an interior courtyard, an interior amenity space. Not to mention, those are probably going to be the prime views for those units. But we're envisioning in that area to have a pool, cabana area, patio, grilling area, really there. But it's really sized in a way that it creates a lot of space. And in addition to that, you can see it's not all hardscape. There's some really nice green space that's circulated in that central courtyard. But that shape of the building really created that central courtyard. Also to the south of the building, you'll see we have a small dog run and a dog park. You'll see that kind of larger light green area. That's an area that we've envisioned to be stormwater, that you can see there's stormwater basins throughout, including in front of the medical office building. Those have been validated with the soil testing we did, but obviously we know that stormwater management is going to be really important. We're going to look at quality and quantity on this project, and the stormwater system will be designed in accordance with the 2024 DEP standards. On the right-hand side of the project, you're going to see that light green area. That's an area of actually former farm field, but still is flagged as inland wetlands. So we kind of designed a building and designed a site to stay out of that. We are proposing, and we'll have to go to Wetlands Commission to get that. We are proposing some small amount of wetland filling, but most of the wetlands, if not all the wetlands that we're filling, are actually former farm field. The much higher quality wetlands are located in that wooded area to the left and to the south. And there, the overall outline of that rendered area is about 21 acres on that. If you look on our first page of our zoning data table, we are well below all the standards that are required in this impervious coverage, building coverage, and actually we're well above on open space. But as you work around the building, so the nice thing about this is we've designed a really nice circulation pattern. You have 360-degree access around the building. Not only is that great for the fire department, it's really good for circulation. It also allows residents to really disperse parking. You can see we designed this. There was, we try not to, is design large parking lots where everybody, you also have a sea of parking in the building. By working with Sal and his team, it's really distributed well around it. Up in the right-hand corner is the 7,000 square foot medical office building. We do have a second access at that location, so we have two access in there. Now, from a landscape architecture standpoint, we may try to make the one on the left to be more the residential driveway and the one on the right for it to be more of a medical, but they're both full access. Once again, fire access has great circulation and two ways in. We did, the parking lot for the medical stands on its own and the residential stands on its own. But that being said, we feel strongly that these are complementary uses. And when the when the office building is closed at night, well, that's when they may have the parking demand. But we are actually slightly above the parking requirements on this particular layout. But even that kind of, I know some communities we work in, they let you do a kind of a parking share, but I believe your regulations say you kind of have to look at them both. And we feel strongly that's a good use here. But even the medical office building, if they needed extra, you have a great proximity to some additional parking. That's probably during the day is not being used. We are also taking a look out in that farm field that's off to the right. We're looking to have some mowed paths. We can't really put hardscape in there, and we can't really put fill in there because it's wetlands. But if you've been out to a park, those are kind of lovely areas where they just kind of mow within the meadow and they kind of wander through there. That's our intent. Internal to the site, we have sidewalks circulating the entire building, and then we're bringing the sidewalks out to the frontage. We are showing sidewalks along the frontage. There were some town comments that they were looking for some additional extension to the additional property frontage. We understand too that your regulations require certain buffers to residential. So that kind of cut out the keyway of this property. Those are two residential properties. We believe that we've afforded plenty of room to provide whether evergreen plantings or a fencing. From the residential to residential, I believe we need 50 feet. We meet that. But because we're proposing commercial as part of your regulation, which is more of a mixed use, they require 150. But as you can see, that light green area, we've kept a very large area for either fencing or evergreen planting. But if you remember on 173, we came to you and we did ask for a reduction in that buffer. And your regulation says you can reduce the buffer, but you got to put a fence or more plantings. We've left plenty of room to do that. On the right of the property, we have commercial. We've left, and one of the reasons we put the medical office building there, it's commercial to commercial. Those are really, nicely adjoined uses. That being said, we did design in a way, there's a wetland corridor through there. So we do have a nice vegetated buffer between us and the commercial property next door. So we also have, so as I said, we received a letter from Connecticut, the water company, saying that they can serve this development for both fire and domestic. We also have, we worked with the town of East Windsor, WPCA, and we received a will serve letter from them also. The nice thing is this, the sewer is basically right at our front door. I think actually on this side, it's actually on our side of the property. So sewer connections are quite easy. And if you remember some conversation, the town of East Windsor put quite a big investment to put new sewer infrastructure up through this area. We understand that WPCA is working on some other things downstream, but from a will serve letter, they said we're good to go. And I think that's, but from a stormwater standpoint, we haven't, like I said, we haven't designed the pipes and and the catch basins. We've studied that. And because we did soil testing, we are going to be able to meet the DEP standards just as we did on the other project. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Dave Sullivan, who is our traffic expert. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. Good evening, David Sullivan. I'm with SLR. I manage the transportation planning group for SLR, professional engineer in the state. If we can go to the next slide. Next, there we go, traffic. So in this particular slide, this is a brief summary of what our scope of the study was. And as Tom mentioned, this traffic study is more than just a concept level study. This is a full study that we would do for final design or anything of that nature. And the results of this study will be the primary ingredient to an OSTA application. But the study itself, we look at the existing conditions. The existing conditions actually are the same as they were for 173. We looked at intersections. Well, you could see the blue dots up there going from the ramp, the interchange ramp intersections and the Route 5 intersections. And we went past the site and to Mullen and Wells, all the way to the east there where North Road takes the turn. So we look at the existing conditions, including crash data, and try to evaluate what the conditions are out there at this point. We then look at the site. So we look at a couple of things. One, we look at the safety ramifications. That is largely has to do with the geometry of the driveway, the location of the driveway, and within the location is sightlines. So as part of our driveway evaluation, we also will determine the number of trips that we could expect from the 180 units of multifamily and the 7,000 square foot medical office. We then take all the information and we have two scenarios that we build. One is what we call background or no build. And we summarize all the things that are going to happen between now and our projection year when this would open. And then we add the traffic that we estimated for it. And that's our build or combined scenario. And we put it in the traffic engineering blender and run our analyses and come up with our results. And the difference in the results from the build and no build is what is your traditional traffic impact. If we go to the next slide, if you wouldn't mind. Some of the existing conditions we found, well, first of all, we did the counts. These are the same counts that we used in our traffic study for 173. They were done in September of last year. we not only did manual turning movement counts at each of those blue dots, but we also put an automatic traffic recorder out along the site frontage. The automatic traffic recorder count doesn't give us the detail of the traffic counts due at the intersections, but what it does give us that the manual counts do not are travel speeds. Travel speeds are important because they relate to sightlines. The faster you go, the farther away you should be able to see a car coming. In this particular case, we established that the 85th percentile speed, or the speed that 85% of the traffic on North Road travel was 50 miles an hour in the eastbound direction and 44 miles per hour westbound. That would translate to being able to see 555 feet when the cars are traveling faster or looking to your right, looking to your left, I mean, because they're traveling faster eastbound, and 490 feet looking right. We did our evaluations, we measured the sight lines, and they meet all of these guidelines. So we have safe driveways. The other thing we looked at is the crash history in the area. And in particular, we looked at 3 years, and we found along site frontage and 1,000 feet or almost a quarter mile in each direction, we had a total of 12 crashes, or about 4 a year. They were about half were property damage only. There were some injury, suspected injury, which is the second lowest category of severity. And one of them, I point out, did involve a pedestrian. Those always send the bells and whistles off for us. The pedestrian accident was unusual. It was somebody walking and somebody backing out of their driveway. No injury, but it was a collision between that backing car and the pedestrian that was walking. Next slide, please. Our future traffic conditions, our background traffic, again, we take our counts, we put a nominal growth rate on that is provided to us by the Bureau of Policy and Planning, which is a division of CONDOT. And in this particular case, they said 7.7% a year increase the traffic for nominal growth. And we also added traffic from a number of background developments that the traffic has not materialized yet. These included 27 Bridge Street, 151 Prospect Hill Road, 68 Newberry Road, course 173 North Road, and then one site on King Street in Enfield. We added that traffic onto our grown existing condition base. That was our background. Then we look at what the site is going to develop, the type of traffic that will be created, and total we expect of about 90 peak hour trips. The peak hour is 1 hour during the morning commuter peak hour and 1 hour in the afternoon peak hour, the commuter peaks, so to speak. So it was 90 and 92. Now that includes vehicles coming in, coming out, going right, going left, coming from the left, coming from the right. So you're not getting 90 vehicles in any particular direction or any particular section of road. It's also coming out of 2 driveways. So we added those traffic volumes to the background, and we came up with our combined or build scenario. Next. So what did we find when we did all these analyses? So the traffic impact, which I talked about, is the change in the level of service, A to F, like school report cards. The difference between those levels of service between the build and no build, and the levels of service essentially through level of service D are considered acceptable. Level of service E, we're starting to get into things where we'd like to try to mitigate them. Level of service is failing. We didn't have any of those. We did have a couple of E's that caught our attention, which I'll talk about in a second. For the most part, at all the signalized intersections, we were able, with some very minor adjustments, to not only maintain existing levels of service, but actually improve a couple of ones that we had ease at, and we were able to bring them back down to D with some fairly modest signal timing changes. The site driveways, entering into the site driveway, which is most important for the motoring public, level service A and B, very good. Coming out of the driveway, left turns are going to be difficult. In the mornings, they're Cs, in the afternoons, they're, depending on which driveway, D and E. The one that has the 2 lanes has the ability for the right turns to sneak out. That one's a little better. But again, that's not terrible. During the peak hour, most of the residential traffic is coming in the afternoon peak hour. Again, the analysis of the crash data, we found no unusual patterns or number of frequency of collisions, and the driveway geometry and sightlines are good. So the last slide I have here. Our recommendations. Signal time and adjustments at 2 of the signalized intersections, at the southbound ramp intersection and at Prospect Hill Road or the Route 5 intersection. Tom already talked about the sidewalks. That's an important recommendation of ours. We will need to coordinate with OSTA and CONDOT on a few things, and the town could also further amplify some of these things through the Legal Traffic Authority, or perhaps the state working with the town to maybe expand the sidewalk network, things like that. We'll personally have to go through them for the signal timing adjustments. There was one location at Wells Road where the stop bar is some 25 feet back, and it has a very wide approach to the intersection. And with the stop bar so far back, 2 cars can't belly up to the intersection. If we move the stop bar up, and observing it, they kind of do it today, but we could formalize it by moving the stop bar up. If somebody's sitting there waiting to take a left turn, the right turners don't get impeded by them. And then, of course, we always say that you have to make sure that any vegetation along the site frontage is maintained so that not to obstruct sightlines. If these recommendations sound familiar, they're the same as we had at 173. And 173 is currently up at OSTA. We've received 3 sets of comments thus far. There have been no comments on the offsite mitigation we proposed. Not that there won't be. We sometimes get 4 or 5 rounds of comments, but we have not gotten any comments on that yet. So we're fairly comfortable in the mitigation package that we presented to them. But again, if they have any recommendations or changes, you will know about it as we come for final approval. And our OSTA submission for this one, we've started on it, and we're going to make that submission shortly. So that's a brief summary. I'd be happy to drill down on anything if you so desire or have any questions.
Yeah, we'll take comments at the end, yeah.
Great. Andrew.
Hello, I'm Sal Talamo from the Sullivan Architectural Group. I'm the principal architect and I'm licensed in Connecticut. In this slide, well, let me just talk about the overall scope. I know I'm probably repeating it, but the proposed development introduces a thoughtfully planned mixed use property featuring single 7,000 square foot medical office building and a 4-story, 180 unit multifamily apartment building. So this here is the view from the street where we can see both buildings. Are we on slide 14? Can we go to 16, please? This is the residential building. The design was designed as a sleek, sophisticated community for residents seeking a contemporary lifestyle with convenient access to the on-site amenities that are offered. Clean lines and geometric proportions, oversized windows, and recessed balconies create a refined modern expression with a strong sense of rhythm and visual depth. A two-tone gray color palette reinforces the building's contemporary character with dark gray primary body, contrasted by lighter gray balcony recesses and a lower parapet profile where those balconies are. The traditional clapboard siding is reimagined in a modern way, complemented by the oversized windows and black aluminum railings. So here we can see the entrance where there's the drop off and with the subtlety of the lines and geometric shapes of the building, there is still a dynamic feel with the extent of windows. We looked closely at spacing the windows in a particular manner to reflect the massing between each recess of the balcony. If we could go to the next slide, please. These are more the elevations. You could keep going, please, to keep going. All right. Here is, this is the internal, a partial plan of the internal courtyard, as well as the amenities, the internal amenities. The residential building has been designed to provide a high level of amenities for the residents at the rear of the building, which is what we're looking at now, including a fitness center, yoga studio, community rooms, game rooms, media rooms, business center, mail and package rooms, and a dog wash. A portion of this interior amenity area opens to the outdoor lounge area with a pool, pergola, fire pit, and lawn space. And across the way, there's a dog park as well. You can keep going to the next slide, please. Here is the medical office building. Here we're presenting a modern farmhouse aesthetic that creates a welcoming and professional presence. White clapboard siding and board and batten siding are contrasted with a charcoal asphalt roof. Black windows, black metal awnings, and a stone veneer base that anchors the building. The building has a symmetrical massing, centered entry and with flanking gables. The building, we felt that this provided a balance in the architectural composition, while the extended shed roof and brackets, shed dormers add warmth, character, and visual interest at the entry, which is in the middle of the rendering. And then, so all in all, with these two different dynamics, we felt that these elements created a distinctive residential presence, as well as a commercial presence that blends simplicity, elegance, that market and appeal for today's lifestyle-focused community.
Thank you, Sal. Again, for the record, Andrea Gomes, counsel for the applicant. Mr. Chairman, that essentially concludes our initial presentation, as Commission's probably used to by now. I defer to you, Mr. Chairman. I'd suggest we turn to public comment. If there is anyone for public comment or questions, whichever order you prefer, I would just ask that I be allowed to conclude my presentation before the public hearing is closed. Sometimes commissions get right in there and close the public hearing before I can open my mouth again. So just want to put that out there.
Would you like to answer questions as they're posed, or you just want to keep a list and then answer all the questions once they've all been posed?
It's whatever you prefer, Mr. Chairman. Typically, we answer for the commission as they are asked, because oftentimes one commissioner will ask a question that leads into another. So we find it's better to have a dialogue. When it comes to public comment, given that members of the public are supposed to direct all of your questions to you, I usually keep a list and then try to respond to the ones that are able, if that's okay.
Perfect. Okay. Right. So I'm going to start with the responses to staff questions and comments. Have all your concerns been adequately addressed in the memo, or do you have further clarifications you'd like to see? Or
Well, many of the items that we brought up will be dealt with site plan, 100% engineered site plan contained under the special use permit. I would say our biggest concern is the building itself, the architecture, having that meet section 18 I'm sorry, 817-9.
So in your presentation booklet that you gave us, under, let's see, what would this be? Tab 9, where it talks about P O C D. Page 51. When it goes down to item 8, design preferences and visual preferences, those two appendixes were appendix 4 and 5. That you didn't have the numbers there, so I brought them with me. So appendix 4, this was all a survey that we did when we're working on revamping our new P O C D. First section in appendix 4 was visual preferences. And to our survey group, we gave examples of many different types of construction. And the ones that scored poorly were ones that looked like large, generic, cold buildings. Every single one with a flat roof received a negative comment on it. So the general responses to the appearance survey was wanted something that looked more rural, residential, not cold and commercial. And like I said, appendix 5, for the design references, that literally had everything with a flat roof was a negative comment. All right, avoid flat roofs, avoid boxy looking. Yeah. Look too institutional. No warmth. That was the guidance that we got from our public on what they prefer to see. And this was specifically, there was a section on the North Corridor development area too, so.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If I can respond to that. First off, I don't know why the numbers didn't print out when we printed out. Just to note,
Okay.
it printed out as I think a pound sign. That was not intentional on our part. It was just when we printed out.
You didn't have access to it and didn't know what.
No, when we printed out the POCD, there must have been something funky with Adobe that changed that. So that was not intentional on our part. And frankly, I didn't notice it because when I too have the POCD, when I see it, I can see online, it's appendix 4 and 5. For whatever reason, it didn't print out like that. So that was not intentional by any means. And again, thank you for bringing that up. So I'll say a couple of things, and I'm not obviously the architect on the team. That's Sal here, and certainly he can explain a little bit more of his thinking when it comes to the design. Certainly we have Ralph here as well, who's done a lot of the market study and the market research for what we believe that the target demographic for the residents for this building and what they are looking for. But a couple of things. The POCD is a very important document. I too sit on a planning and zoning commission, and I too was on our POCD committee, and I read them every single town I work in. So I am in no way, shape, or form dismissing the POCD. I highlight it as part of our written materials, as part of my presentation. But from a legal perspective, I do want to just confirm the POCD is an advisory document, as the commission knows. I see you shaking your head, Mr. Chairman. So we look at the POCD, and what we were looking at and focusing on was, again, if you look, I think what we brought in is the call to arms, if you will, of bringing development to the North Road Business Corridor. So that's what we were focused on. We believe we meet a lot of other provisions in the POCD, understanding that the design here diverges a bit from what the public had wanted to see. The second thing I'll say is we will then, of course, always look at the POCD. We look at the regulations. And I believe, Mr. Chairman, what Ms. Calabrese is talking about, we have regulations at 817. I've starred them in my packet. 817.9 F is in Frank, building design, facade, and articulation. And of course, I'll say, again, lawyer in the room, so the commission will have to forgive me, but those provisions are written as should, which in legal parlance are recommendations. That's why I reference them as design guidelines. They should have X, they should have Y. It's not a mandatory shall, like a minimum building setback shall be X. So again, we looked at those as design guidelines. We believe, and I believe we responded to some of this in the response document you have there, that of the 4 design guidelines, we've met certainly 4 of them. One thing I explained to Ms. Calabrese is we've exceeded the minimum 20% facade transparency. The articulation incorporated to emphasize the architectural elements. That's why in your PowerPoint presentation, you had not only the rendered perspectives from North Road, but the ones from our architectural plans, which frankly capture more the differences that you see from the insets on the building, the coloring, the window spacing, as Sal explained. So that's why we wanted to show that one, because the rendered perspective from North Road that's up on the screen now didn't quite capture that. And of course, the roof line is something that, and of course, if Ralph, you want to speak up, we felt strongly that to bring young people who are looking for highly amenitized, modern living, they are often looking for these more modern buildings, which is why you have a building that's been designed with this side drop-off area, this rear highly amenitized courtyard, interior and exterior amenities. And we were really trying to meet those folks, the folks that POCD calls to bring into East Windsor, meet them where they're at. And the other piece I'll note is, as the commission may recall, the architecture for 173 North Road, again, a bit away from the site, that followed a little bit of a more traditional modern farmhouse design. We're trying to differentiate this community, again, a larger scale, multifamily, modern, highly amenitized community. We're trying to differentiate that with the design. So, I mean, Ralph, I don't know if you have anything else to add. We, of course, want to hear the commission's feedback. The design will be finalized for the special permit and site plan, but those are just some additional comments. I want the commission to understand, we looked at the POCD, we looked at the regulations, we looked at what the market will support for this level of investment on this property. And, Urbane felt that this, North Winkler felt that this was the appropriate design in conjunction with Ray. So I don't want the commission to think we disregarded it. We thought through it very carefully.
I don't have the benefit of law school as you do, but I do have the benefit of ChatGPT.
Devil and the angel.
Is there any case law regarding should and shall and things like that? And the best response that I got back, did say that federal and state courts have held that should was intended to be mandatory, where treating it as merely advisory would defeat the purpose of the statute or regulation.
Yeah, and with all due respect, Mr. Chairman, I think there are a number of other cases in the zoning context which will find that to be different. Again, should, typically, when I'm writing something, I don't say should if I need it to be mandatory, because I never want there to be a question. Ultimately, at the end of the day, the final.
Our intent of putting the should in that regulation was to give us the ability to have some flexibility if people could come up with alternate, ideas that would still be in our flexibility to approve it. If we put it as shall, then everything was going to be gabled roof and dormers, and that was all we were going to see.
And precisely.
That's why we gave that flexibility to sell us on something that's acceptable.
And that's noted in the POCD, right? You have a reference in your POCD about post-Z ability to vary standards, I believe. I think there's something in there on the POCD about that. And that's directly to what you're speaking to, Mr. Chairman, which is certain language that allows the commission to vary certain requirements, which means it's not a requirement, because you can't vary things that are mandatory. That's the province of the ZBA. Again, not a tit for tat, Mr. Chairman, just staying in our position and understanding from the commission's perspective. The applicant has thought very long and hard about this. It wasn't a disregard for the regulations. It was an interpretation. And again, based on extensive research on what the market can support here.
One other question. So you're developing a portion of the property. Is any of the remaining part of the property still considered developable or not?
And Tom may weigh in on it. My understanding is a lot of it is very, very wet. Tom essentially said it's soggy. I believe there's some pieces of it, but I'm going to ask Tom to weigh in.
If you go,
There.
so go back to the one.
Go back, yeah.
So at the far right And that's what, that's.
Right there, yep.
Right there. There's some buildable land there. And at the far left, I believe at one time a development was proposed.
By Winkler.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. After that, not much. There's uplands, but the problem is there's upland, wetland, and you just can't get to it. We've been working with the and they understand land planning as well as we do. We've kind of identified those. After that, yeah, most of this area will just be remaining as protected or undeveloped just because of wetlands. And there's also some strong water courses and floodplain.
You're not cutting this portion out, the entire property is gonna stay.
No, right now it's already multiple parcels. So we will do a lot line review. So I believe it's 3 lots
Three
today.
lots.
It's 3 lots today. We will rejigger the lot lines and it will be 3 lots again, except the middle lot will become very big and it'll span basically almost, most of it.
It won't
We're
be a landlocked lot, it'll all have.
It'll have frontage, but frankly, from a wetland perspective,
Okay.
it is landlocked.
And to just further explain that, Mr. Chairman, the application itself is only for 120 North Road because we are only developing, eventually zone changing what is currently 120 North Road and ultimately developing that. With the lot line revision, I believe the intent is to take the area that is not in green, in essence, in what you see here, and incorporate that into abutting parcels. Nothing will be landlocked.
That's what I was just more looking for that, is we're not gonna carve off a piece and.
Yeah, so North Winkler owns 2 additional parcels in the area. We're just gonna put the remainder of the land, as we noted, most of which is not, it's very wet at this time.
So this I like. This looks like a project from the 1950s. Flat roofs. Do not like at all. The project on the road you did looked great. I understand you're trying to go for 2 different concepts. I just don't understand why you guys are building flat roofs in New England. That's. I don't know if you plan on putting rooftop units up there or what, but I'm not a fan of the look. I'm gonna be honest with you. I get you're gonna make paint and put railings in, try to accent it, and it's not the look we're looking for East Windsor. I agree with Mike on that. Getting over that. Some other commissioner was saying something. Utilities, still no gas.
Correct.
All gone.
So, and Tom, I think you talked a little bit about this at 173, right? Where mostly everything here, we're not using gas, so we're not putting in gas, right?
We're going back to 1970s still, like they said the last meeting.
Yeah, well, the reality is there was a portion of time where the gas company couldn't serve projects. And down in Westchester County, you couldn't get gas. So I guess the industry fixed the problem. And they said, hey, if our people can't get gas, we're gonna make super efficient electric. So that it got flipped. Correct me wrong, but the new electric, if we can't get gas, you gotta find a better way, and the market thing. So we're finding is that I think the electric stuff is actually more efficient than gas right now.
Yeah, and to add to that, through you, Mr. Chairman, some communities, thankfully not Connecticut, are actually banning gas. It's a national issue because they're actually banning gas and mandating electrification. I think it's part of an environmental issue, but probably on the tail end of what Tom was just discussing as well. I think we said this for 173. We do not have plans, but ultimately, if the town wishes to install a gas main while the road is open,
Not gonna, that's not gonna happen.
ultimately, well, I do just want to know for the record,
Yeah.
if the town wants to take that on while the road is open, we'd be happy to coordinate as long as it doesn't negatively impact our construction schedule.
We tried doing that when they did the sewer, they wouldn't do it. Water, they're not gonna, I get it, it's open, now it's time to do it, but.
Open and you've got hopefully a lot of new development happening in this north business corridor where, which the P O C D calls for. So maybe there's a basis there to extend the gas if there's a greater need.
Electric is more efficient than the gas, now you guys are telling me that?
I'm sorry?
More efficient, even with utility rates?
Yes.
Oh, the envelope is required to be much more substantial, so there's less heat loss gain.
So, and then I don't know if we need to get into this now, but the waiver for the buffer, that has to be a separate motion. We get into that. Next step. Okay.
And as we did with 173, we'll
Next
make
step.
that very clear and explicit. I always work with Ruth on the language of that ultimate motion so that we're ensuring the commission's getting, nailing everything it needs to on kind of the procedure. So.
Okay, also on traffic, I know you said you're gonna move that stop bar on Wells Road. That was, nobody really paid attention to that anyways. You mentioned that. Already pulled forward. Is there gonna be a drive, it's probably too early to ask this too. Is there gonna be a drive-by lane when people turn left? It's gonna be wider over there on the right-hand side?
About this during 173, I don't believe, and I believe commissioners, we specifically spoke about it. I don't believe we can do that without taking some of your property, right? I think that was the discussion. Yes.
We want to make sure.
No, I think the discussion was, and Dave, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think there's room for a pass lane, but I'll let the traffic engineer say it, not the lawyer.
Dave Sullivan. So the first step in getting one of the bypasses, it's got to meet certain warrants. And we only have certain
Warrants.
warrants. So it's, so DOT makes us go through the process, otherwise they would have wide roads everywhere. Don't think it's going to meet the warrants. We looked at it quickly. There's only like 10 or 15 lefts in the peak hour, which probably is not going to warrant the bypass because it's not considered that much of a deterrence to through traffic at, one or two cars every 5 minutes.
And then in your traffic study, you guys do mention that DOT, they want sidewalks in front of, your property, but those other two houses. Is that something that you guys are willing to put and connect those sidewalks, or is that?
For the two houses on our site frontage, that's not current. So our concept plan currently shows sidewalks going, and Mike, would you mind pointing with?
So it's one on each side.
Yeah, from essentially the, I'll call it the medical office frontage. We propose sidewalks there. In our comment area, I believe we agreed to extend sidewalks to the limit of development, right to where Mike is basically showing that area. I don't believe there's been discussion about doing that in front of the two single-family homes. That's something we can discuss for the final plan, if that's a possibility.
That would be.
Yeah, we'd have to look at where the limits of the property lines are as well, but we'll take it under consideration and discuss it for the final application.
And then it's listed as medical office. Can that use change or be something else if you decide not to do medical office?
I'd have to look back at the regulations. I believe that I have to look back and see how it's defined, Ruth. Would medical office we be able to change that just to regular office? I think the intent, the end user is for a medical office here, but ultimately if there's, and I can look that up while we're listening to public comment to see if for whatever reason, medical office, there isn't a market. Everything changes, we can look into whether or not we'd be able to do so without having to come back to the commission.
That's what I'm looking for, about the bait and switch. Hey, we're looking for medical building. I like the layout and design. We want a medical building there, which is great, but also, you can't get one now. It's going to be a restaurant.
Well, no, so we could never go from medical office to restaurant. That I can tell you for certain. Typically, the flexibility arises when you're just categorizing office spaces, right? Because a lot of office spaces, because it's still office, whether it's medical, bank office, accountant, whatever it may be. Oftentimes, the use is similar. So some regulations, I just have to go back and check. Some regulations will categorize it as just office use. Period. I'll have to see if it's categorized differently. Right now, the intent is to build medical office. You'll even see the floor plan for the concept floor plan for the medical office is basically an open box. The intent being that we'd build it out for who the end user, the medical office user is. But certainly if there's not a market for it and it's not within the same penumbra, I can see Mike and Ruth looking it up. If we had to come back, we just come back from a change of use. I don't believe it wouldn't change the site design or anything like that.
Yeah, and from a site perspective, I believe medical office has a higher parking demand, so
Yep.
we have that covered. And from a traffic standpoint, it tends to have a little, so I think instead we actually probably get the more conservative in terms of impacts. So to go to so from office, I think we'll be over. So
everybody knows who lives near here, like we all do, that pulling out of here on the left-hand side at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, it's tough. No matter where you're at, I get that. I like the design. I like the whole concept. I just don't like the design of buildings.
Okay.
That's all. I mean, I'm in favor for what you guys are doing. I like the whole design of it and the medical building and all that stuff. So that's all I have for now. I'll let my favorite commissioner.
Wayne?
Yes, I go along with these two gentlemen. The office buildings, the medical building is awesome looking. And I don't know why you'd want to create a difference like that. It's so different, you know, it looks like you're making a jail. It's just a block building.
Ralph Visser, Northwick, EW. Yeah, so, I mean, we do this, right? And, we're bringing a lot of units here to East Windsor. So we really had to kind of give ourselves a sort of that different product. When you're kind of thinking about who's going to be living here in these things, I kind of look across the entire town. And I kind of, kind of like with the 173, we talked about, the townhomes, people kind of getting out of their homes possibly, going into the townhomes. Now you have new families coming in, things like that. Here, making, that was 189 units, it's now 180. It's a lot of units to bring online with the exact same product and the exact same feel. So we have to offer something different. We have to pull from other areas. That within the town, it's not going to just come right in and just be like, oh, okay, great, and just fill up. There's a extreme infrastructure cost of bringing that water line down and making all of this happen. So from our perspective, I'm the kind of person that looks at spreadsheets and things like that. From our perspective, in order to get the kind of the rent level that we need to get to, we wanted to give a high amenitized building. And again, it's that modern look and that modern feel. I just want to note something. If you think about it, that building is way off the street. I mean, that's about 150 feet off the street. So what we kind of visioned this as was that front commercial building, right, has that modern farmhouse feel, right? And this other pad site, believe me, if I had two tenants right now, I don't have one. But if I had two to take both those buildings, we'd be building them, right? Once that second building is up, if we can get somebody, we can draw to the area. That's going to be quite a kind of a buffer, if you will, from the streetscape of that modern farmhouse look that everyone's wants to see. And really our intention with the main building, that big building, was that for it to kind of go away, almost kind of disappear into the background and not be so, a lot of people put a lot of different colors and all these things and all this pizzazz on a building. It really kind of wanted to kind of just fall into the wetlands, into the environment, and just kind of go away in the background. And I think in that one photo that shows the commercial building within the background, you kind of get that, feel, you get that vision.
You're trying to hide Mill Pond.
It's not necessarily supposed to be drawing.
Back, Mike.
One more back.
Yep.
So this is a lot cheaper to build what we're talking about, 100%.
Which one?
Like this, that's way cheaper to build like that. It's
Necessarily.
100%.
Not necessarily. So we could have gone smaller windows. We could have
On the
gone.
business, this is a lot cheaper to build than
I'm not
that, 100%.
sure.
I get the economics coming down, you're bringing a water line down, I get it, but you're doing two different properties.
Yeah.
You're killing two birds with one stone, kinda,
Sure.
but I think it's all about dollars and cents, to be honest with you.
It always is.
Yeah, well, I get that, but
I'm
I get it.
it's fair, but it's expense. Ultimately, making this happen is dollars and cents.
Of course it is.
Period.
Of course it is.
Right? And this is I would just say, just understand that we are investing a lot in the town. And our intention is not to come in and sort of just do what we want. That is not our intention. But I do have a grave concern about having the exact same product right across the street from each other. I really do.
Okay, so you can change it without having this. You don't have to have the same products one across the street. We're not talking about.
Well, it's sort
that.
of,
I'm not
it's sort
talking
of
about.
modern farmhouse and modern farmhouse.
You're talking highly amenitized. If you can keep amenities regardless of what the outside of it looks like.
Right,
From what we found,
we gotta live here.
Yeah, I understand that.
I go past
That's
that
why
all the time.
I get it.
And that view you show right there,
Yep.
that's key, because that's an angled view. When you get in front of it, there you go. I mean, it could be back off the road 300 feet. You're still gonna see these squares.
It's like a warehouse.
That's my take on it. Okay, secondly, I would question the amount of automobiles going up and down this road. Okay, I've lived here for a couple of years.
Existing conditions, Commissioner, or proposed?
Oh,
Oh, okay.
right now, there's a lot of cars going up and down the road. And I can judge it by different times I go there, how many cars are ahead of me at a stop sign. And it's becoming quite a mess. I don't know how they're gonna get out of there if they want to go out at 3 o'clock or something in the afternoon to take a left, because the flow of cars going
Just make a
from,
right, because you can't.
yeah, there you go.
That's what I
Going-
do.
Going from west to east is, it's amazing. I go over to the little store where they have the antique and all the used stuff there and try to get out of there. It's terrible. And that's, you got a clear sight. You're going up, you can see real good both ways. It's horrible getting out of there. And, you know, the 7% increase, how many years is that projected out?
0.7 growth
0.7.
factor, different.
0.7. Can you imagine what 0.7 is? That's nothing.
Well, here, I'm let Dave talk about it. I'm not even.
It's a number you're pulling out of the air.
No,
These are, no.
numbers given to us from the Bureau of Policy and Planning. So it's based on historic trends of travel pattern without background developments adding to it. So we added in addition to the 0.7%. So that's if nothing ever happened in town, no new development, nothing, then traffic would grow by 0.7%
Each year.
each year. And
I think
then we added the new development on it.
Just think that's absolutely ridiculous number. 0.7, so how many cars would that be?
Well, Commissioner, again, and again, I'm not trying to, not to interrupt you, Dave, but that's the number that's
Yeah.
given to us. That's the number that's given to us, and that is the anticipated growth if nothing were to ever happen. So pretend 173 is not happening, all of the other developments listed on our PowerPoint, which was taken into account. 0.7 is what traffic engineers like Dave is required to put on, right?
May I ask-
As you're projecting.
May I ask you, at the intersection of Main Street and 140 here, okay, go west. Have you ever been there like 4:30, 5:30 in that area? Have you ever been there?
Today, as a matter of fact, was the
Okay,
most
it's
recent.
hard the line go. I've been up to Chemetz, waiting to get up that hill.
So our report is not saying that this is this farmland up in the hinterlands. We've identified that it's difficult to take left turns out, particularly in the afternoon during the peak hours. But if people do it and there is some delay, we calculate that delay at level of service D or E, which means people typically wait 20, 25 seconds if they're making a left turn during those peak conditions. Now that's everybody, from the gas stations to if one of the buses are going to leave the bus farm over there, any of those, anybody coming out onto 140 on that section of road is going to wait if they're taking a left turn during the peak hour. We've acknowledged that. We were able to make some mitigation at the traffic lights, which is good. In particular, if you're getting on to go southbound, right now that left turn, the cycle typically doesn't clear. So in an hour, you're waiting a couple of cycles. So we're fixing that and some other tweaks. And we think on Wells, people do it anyway, but formalizing that a little bit will relieve it. We have two driveways here. One of the driveways is 2 lanes. So we're not funneling everybody from this development out to one driveway and 1 lane. So we're doing our best to develop something that fits in with the conditions that are out there. And, you know, it's,
And to take a left turn when someone's coming at you 50
Impossible.
miles an hour.
well,
Go right and go round.
Yeah.
Right.
Left-
Commissioner, if I can say, keep in mind, again, the entire reason we're proceeding with the proactive approach is for this very conversation, because I think we had the same conversation for 173. So the entire reason we've done this initial step, I'll call it, is, again, a thank you to staff for making that suggestion as we were talking about how to approach this, is so that we can hopefully get this approval and we can talk to OSTA so that when we come back to you next time for special permit and site plan, you have not only the professionally drafted, meeting all of the industry standards and requirements, traffic report drafted by Dave, who has a lot of experience in the area and expertise, but you also have OSTA's feedback so that it gives us a little bit more oomph, if you will, behind our statements. The other thing I'll note, and we get into this in almost every single application I work on that isn't in the middle of nowhere. Applications, a new development isn't necessarily, and you're blocking me, a new development is not just existing conditions. It's also what impact will this development have? And if there are existing problems or existing concerns with traffic congestion or anything, the question is, are we adversely impacting that? Which is why we get people like Dave involved to project what this particular development will be. And you've heard that there's a mitigation package, as Dave called it. The signal timing improvements are not only going to mitigate what we're adding to the roadway, which it percentage-wise is fairly minimal, but they're actually going to improve some of the existing conditions. Same with the Wells Road stop bar relocation and so on and so forth. So I hear you, Commissioner. There are concerns with traffic congestion in the area. We're mitigating that. But again, going back to what we've discussed, what we discussed at 173, the town's goal, as I understand it, at least outlined in the POCD and from what we've heard from staff, other neighborhood stakeholders, is to encourage development along North Road.
I am encouraging it.
No, I absolutely, and I'm not saying you're not.
The thing is, Walter Bass, Attorney Bass, who owned that very same property, wanted to put a miniature golf thing there, okay?
Still there.
And he was told to put in a turnoff because of the traffic. And he didn't do it, so they refused him to build that. Now we're talking,
Who
Oh,
refused?
that's not the real story.
okay?
Okay, well, it's not germane for this whole application at all, so we're not going down
Yeah,
that.
my only point is, it was a turnoff.
It's gonna be up to the DOT to decide.
I know,
That's state road.
just say.
Ultimately, that all of this will be worked out with OSTA. It will be presented again to the commission with the benefit of the OSTA comments for special permit and site plan. The question the commission has to ask is, are we adversely impacting existing traffic conditions in the area? And we have an expert here telling you we are not, and we believe that OSTA will agree with us once they conduct their review. So, Commissioner, I'm not dismissing your questions or your comments or your concerns. It's just, we're doing everything we can to show you it's not a concern. We have an expert weighing in, and we're going to get the DOT or OSTA, excuse me, to confirm that.
Any other questions, Wayne?
No.
Amber?
I'm very interested in the residential properties that directly abut and what their comments are when we get to that, if how they are feeling about it. But also when I look at the architectural renderings, I look at the artistic kind of pictures versus this kind of picture.
Yep.
The problem for me is the landscaping. And if you did a really good job with landscaping, you see trees.
Yep.
If you do this, you see ugly building. And so I think you can mitigate the big box look with better landscaping.
Thank you, Commissioner. And again, a lot of what you're seeing here, concept level landscaping, we absolutely hear you, and we will take that into account for the final landscaping plan. I mean, in fact, you know, we were talking about the required buffers. We don't come close to showing that in the number of trees shown on the concept plan. We're going to take all of that into consideration for the final plans.
You look at the houses and you see good large trees.
Yep.
It feels much better than when you look at this.
Understood.
And you see twig trees. And I mean, you can buy designer trees that are big and are pretty, or you can buy standard old twig trees.
Absolutely. And Commissioner, to answer your question on the residences, I call them the teeth of the site, right? 'Cause it looks like two teeth at the front. I have not yet spoken with them. I don't know if the applicant has, but the idea is that we were hoping to get this approval, nail down our plan, and then we will be reaching out to those neighbors.
They have stake in a zone change, so if they were here tonight, I would be interested in.
Absolutely, and they were
From them.
part of the folks, the 100-foot abutters that received notice back on July 1st. As I always say, my direct contact information is on the application. And as the commission may recall, we made a concerted effort to reach out to the abutters for 173 and we never heard back from any of them. So
I always am concerned about the pre-existing people who live right there and are going to live with it. And it's nice to hear how they feel and what they think should be done.
And we welcome those comments because frankly, I don't want to hear their comments for the first time when I'm here for a public hearing for
Then
permit and
to the
site plan.
design and do a better job.
Exactly. But what sometimes happens is with these zone changes and master plans, we speak with the neighbors, we incorporate some changes, the plan changes, we go for it. It's a back and forth. Typically, often we will get kind of the zone change approval, the concept plan in place, and then what we'll go and discuss what people are really concerned about, which is landscaping, traffic, drainage on their property, so on and so
They're
forth.
all valid
Yeah,
things.
absolutely valid and something we are
Houses there and
more than happy to discuss as always. And if they're here tonight, we'll certainly,
they're here.
absolutely.
Anything else?
Unfortunately, that speaks volumes.
It does, but to me, it's like, I wish they
They're
were.
not here. then
Yeah,
tell
we
you
can't
that.
hear it.
They're the ones that sold the land.
Yep. Well, you're one of the two of them is the one that sold the land, exactly. Well, the brother of the one that sold the land.
Anything else, Ann?
That's it.
Dave?
You know, I'm all for it. I think it's a great idea. I hear everybody talking about the disparity in the way the building's looking. I think that can be addressed with
I
a
do too.
landscape. Really think it can be. I think it's a great idea. Are your thoughts for the medical building to only be a single person in there or?
When I
I
actually
only see one door going in.
Ralph Sylvester. Our thoughts are for them to be probably two.
Okay, but common entrance going
Yeah,
in.
and
You go
speaking
to
to,
the doctor's office
And then
and
shuts
there's
off.
right, exactly.
Yeah, I'm just
huge
curious.
practices in there.
Oh,
Nice if you can kill two birds with one stone.
yes, it is. Yes.
Or your dentist and your ENT, or say back to back, whatever it is.
And having your, base right behind you is spectacular. It's a
Yeah.
great idea. It really is a great idea and the town needs this, definitely. So my worry is, like everyone else, traffic
Yep.
up and down. Is there any thoughts of, instead of tweaking times with OSTA, is there any talk of
Asking for a traffic light.
Exactly. That's exactly where I was going. Is there any possibility of a traffic light?
So I'll ask
Or is
Dave
that,
to-
that's
Should ask, even if you don't
a
think.
CONDOT
Yep.
OSTA decision only?
That's the warrant, I bet.
It will
It's the-
never be.
Okay.
Warrant.
So you need 8 hours of up to 75 to 100 vehicles exiting the site for 8 hours of the day. We're nowhere near that.
Okay.
We don't even get that for 1 hour. We might get it for 1 hour. No.
No, because we're 90 and 92, so.
Yeah.
So at that point, you're merely tweaking signals both back at Mullen Road and back up at 140 to try and synchronize them to control traffic both ways. Because at 173, you can only tweak it from this Broadbrook Road traffic light and the Mullen Road traffic light to allow you to get in and out. Here, you're gonna have to do the Mullen Road traffic light and the Route 5, the Showham Road traffic light. The one at Showham Road, you have those two traffic lights to tweak signals to get people out, because I'll be honest, my employees struggle getting out of 172 already.
The problem with the corridor with all these curb cuts is who are you tweaking the lights for? So if we were gonna tweak the lights for us, it might make it better for us.
Yep.
But it might not make it better for folks here and there.
Right.
So when.
And that's kind of where I was going with it.
When CONDOT looks at this, what they want to do is minimize the disruption for the people that are driving through the corridor. So the timing would be in the morning, you might get a green at Mullen, and then you get the greens as you go.
To push everybody through.
Keep going, people there. And the thinking is if you don't have them backed up and queuing at the lights and moving through, that way you're helping the mid-block driveways.
But you're not helping everybody in and out from all the side roads going to work. The Wells Road, the Mullen Road, the Winglet Road, trying to get out onto 140 to go to work in the mornings.
Yeah.
Okay. Other than that, all the rest of my questions are more after you guys come back.
Okay. And again, through you, Mr. Chairman, if the commission, of course, has any site plan level questions, comments, feedback, so on and so forth, please pass them through to staff, even outside of the scope of this application. Because again, I love hearing things before I come up here, and I can't actually give you the calculations or look up the regulation or whatever it may be. We're always open, and we have a great line of communication with your staff. So for the special permit site plan, it's permissible, pass them through to staff individually, and hopefully Ruth can pass them on to me.
I mean, if you're interested in my question, if you want to delve into that, this is a big parking lot. Where are you going to put all the snow? Where do you plan to push all the snow? I know that's your favorite question. Wayne. Sorry, I stole your thunder here, but you didn't ask it. Yeah,
I figured I'd wait till the next time.
Yeah, you're saving it. You took the wind out of sails. So, we will of course-
over there now.
Yeah, ice skating rink.
So I'll have Tom come up and answer that if you have any specific questions. Of course, I think as we said with 173, the idea is to store all of the snow on site within the snow storage area. If we have some crazy blizzard and we cannot appropriately do so, we do not block parking spaces.
Okay.
We ultimately have to cart it off site, as you do with every development, but I'll have Tom weigh in on that.
Your snow storage, because it was not called out as a pad site for right now?
No, well, you'll have it where the main parking lot is. You'll have between us and the residential, that'll be an area where you can just push the parking to the north towards North Road and just stock it on there.
Yeah, where Mike is putting right
Yeah.
there, his.
That whole area will just get.
Oh, okay.
So that'll get pushed right to the perimeter, because that's actually going to be a buffer to the neighbors. So that's not part of the pad site.
Okay.
And also to the right, yes, it's wetlands, but it's former farm field. We typically don't like to pile snow in what I would call as wetlands, right? But that's just farm field. So on this particular, but we still have to be respectful because it meets the definition in the state of Connecticut based upon, as you know, in state of Connecticut, it's based upon soil and water, not necessarily. Sometimes you walk through and you're like, is that wetland? I didn't know it was wetland. This site, we have a ton of space to put snow storage on. The other site was a little more complicated. If you remember, we had a bunch of small buildings. This site, you can just push it to the perimeter. So, the other, I'll be honest, the other site we talked about is going to be a little more managed on the bigger storms. This one actually is going to be pretty easy.
Easy.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then this medical office building, same thing. They'll just pick it up and put it over. But part of your regulations, because we have to provide decent buffers to the sawtooth, it basically affords a large lawn area. And we'll do our landscaping that we still get enough room that you're not hurting the trees.
Okay.
So maybe the trees are going to be set back a little bit,
Okay.
which maybe help with the view shed too. because they're gonna be out there.
Yep.
tree.
Yep.
I'm good. That's all.
Okay, all right. I just want to ask a couple questions about what we're actually deciding on tonight, like
Yes.
the zone change. So can you pull this one back up?
Slide 3, bottom right, I believe.
I one, two?
Yeah, I think it's numbered slide 3 in the bottom right.
Okay.
Yeah, the POCD. Thanks, Mike. Yep, that's it.
Okay, so can you just explain to me, so we're gonna change the section inside the red only
Okay, so
becomes B3? Oh, is B3, we're gonna move to PC?
So the entire site is split zoned. The entire site is outlined in red right there, what you see on this, on the screen right there.
Whole
Mike, thank you.
jigsaw puzzle
That
is.
jigsaw puzzle area right there. That is currently split zoned. That is B3 towards North Road and A1 towards the southerly portion. What we are proposing to do, which is not, and I think Tom is pulling up a board, we are taking just the approximately, I think we're at 60 acres for the whole site. We're just taking approximately 20 or 21 acres towards, if you match up the saw teeth, as we call them, up there where Mike's cursor is right there, we are just taking this portion, and these are the meets and bounds that were recorded on the, or filed with the town clerk. The zone change map was filed with the town clerk. We are just proposing to rezone that piece to the PCDD, Planned Commercial Development District. The rest of the site will remain as it's currently zoned, which again is Part B3, Part A1.
Can you show me where each one is part B3?
I think, so it's roughly, I mean, honestly, that hatched line is not too far off, right? Is that the zone line? Okay, perfect. That is the zone line. So B3 is to the north of that. A1 is to the south.
Far back.
You have a picture here in your book, page 5. Tab 5.
Five.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the plan sheet you're looking at here.
Yeah.
And you can see,
Tab 5.
The color. might-
9 tab 5.
yeah, so if you look at these, if you look at the parcels,
Front of town.
4, sorry.
Tab 4.
so if you look at each of those parcels, you'll see a little box under each one. Right here,
Yeah.
you see B3, and then transitions to
glasses.
A1.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a little bit easier to see here. You can see where the transition is.
Okay, so the two abutters are zone B3 as well. Okay. And then this zone change lets you go multifamily mixed use, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Just wanted to kind of
Yep, no,
emphasize
absolutely.
that's what we're deciding on.
And the way the PCD regs are written is the proactive approach is a zone change with simultaneous approval of essentially a master plan.
Okay.
Right? It just guides the development going forward. Ruth and I spoke about this actually before the meeting. You legally cannot condition a zone change, but what you can do is you can, I know there's a proposed motion on the table. If the commission were to act on it tonight, what you can do is just conditions on the master plan or statements by the commission regarding the master plan or something along those lines. But that's kind of the more administrative piece.
And one other question, all this light blue line that shows up all over the place, is this delineating? wetlands?
It's either wetlands or water courses.
It's wetlands,
Wetlands,
that's what I
yes.
thought it was gonna be.
Yep. It's a really interesting site to navigate for in terms of development, hence why the development was kind of pushed up towards North Road.
Okay, that was the only question I wanted to just review what tonight's decision's about. So it's, we're,
Zone change.
in light of your master plan, considering a zone change.
Correct. Yep, understanding that this does not give us the right to develop anything. It just really gives us the green light to go to OSTA. That was the entire point. And then ultimately, we will have to come back. We will have to go get wetlands approval. And then we will have to come back with a special permit and site plan, which is what the commission typically sees, fully engineered docs, full landscaping plan, more detailed architecturals, and so on and so forth.
And you're informed with notes from staff as to which direction to take, correct?
Correct. And from feedback from the commission tonight, so on and so forth.
Perfect, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So do you guys have any of these properties built like around here we can go look at, something like this, or just something you guys built? Yeah. Far away?
Ralph, can you, sorry, for the record.
Real Sylvester, North Anchor.
Yeah.
No, not in East Windsor.
Okay. Well, not East Windsor, I'm saying anywhere in the state of Connecticut?
That we personally built?
Yeah.
No, but probably, you're kind of looking at that like Hartford, Windsor kind of area, kind of as a kind of.
I saw one of those kind of like this in Bloomfield, I saw.
that's what
Sure. You think of too?
Yep.
All right, I'm gonna drive by and take a look again, and see what. No?
Yeah, again, it's
Felix?
so haven't really gotten that granular as much, but yes, I mean, that's kind of what we're just about to say. Again, we're going for a different product. We're going.
Younger contemporary.
We're trying to draw to the area, in all of our talks with staff and all of this commission and everything like that. It's all kind of been, and even with the first selectman as well, it's about bringing in families, bringing in kids, things like that. And in my personal opinion, how you do that is you give people options, and then people will kind of transition and things like that. So it could even be it's retirees or just looking for that level of amenity. It's sort of an activated building where there's people around and everything like that, and they get out of their single family home, and guess who goes in the single family home? A new family, right? And that's kind of what we're kind of looking for. Not just trying to disregard thoughts and feelings about the town or anything like that. It really is. It's a business decision, but one that I personally feel is not all that egregious. Me personally. So that's kind of where we came from. So that's what make that clear.
Are you looking at the Bass Farms names for both pieces of property or just this one or
So
what's our?
Yeah, so basically thinking like, Bass Farms for this one, and then Bass Run, since it did have the little brook in there.
Yeah.
For the northern portion. That's kind of what we were looking at. Again, playing on, playing on the heritage, playing on, the Bass family, everything like that.
Maybe something
Yeah.
that doesn't play on that.
Could be that too, but again, we have to submit a name with the application. I'm more than happy to get feedback from constituents, commissions and staff.
Okay.
Any comments can be sent to Ruth and then to me.
Absolutely, 110%.
Everybody good?
Yeah.
Okay.
This concept.
Can you Give me the sign.
I must have.
Yeah. All right, so
Oh, you do are over one guy.
this is a public hearing, so I'll open it up to the public. First, we have Mr. Paul Anderson.
Yeah, Paul Anderson, 89 Main Street, Broadbrook. Back in the 80s, I sat on that commission for a few years. Of course, the rules have changed. They ask all the critical questions. They're good at this. I know the property, I know the town very well. I don't have any problem with anything that was proposed, providing that the visibility of that style building, because I understand the concept of a flat roof. You're going 4 stories and add another story of roof, and it doesn't work. Now you're too high. And if you can't do that, then you've scaled it down. Don't have a lot of land. Now, that's not the town's problem, but that's the reality of the site. So I can appreciate that, but the less visible it is, the more acceptable it is. The concept of medical office, we don't have any. We have 0. We had an urgent care. It disappeared. We got nothing. Everybody goes somewhere else.
Plaza.
And we have a transportation system that's $3 a ride. We're fortunate to have that. But it doesn't take people in town, it takes them out of town. Well, if they're able to keep them in town, and by the way, this medical building is tiny compared to what I think we need. We need lots of them, not your problem. But that $3 a ride thing, which is a great concept, is all well and good, but the farther they have to go, the fewer people get to use it. So this could be a positive, get some kind of medical facility in town to help. I realize it's a small piece of this pie, and it's not a guarantee you're gonna have medical activity there. We don't know that. You'll get people, but you won't necessarily get medical. You might end up with something else. There's another potential pad site that could be additional medical if it pays off, if enough people want it. The potential's there. So now I realize we're talking a zone change, and that is theoretically all this public hearing is about. But the presentation is for informational purposes. But I would say that I think it's a very good idea to have the zone change so the potential is there. And then what you can get from it is something you can determine
In site
a
plan.
little bit later for the actual, because it could be somebody else entirely who took over this property to do something. Who knows? The point being is we need something because North Road is sitting there stagnant, and that is not acceptable for our town. We need the tax money. That's what it's all about. And you know what? You build something, we're gonna tax it. Thank you very much. That's what we
And the
want.
cars.
Okay, because no matter what, we get to tax it because you built it, and that's what it's all about. And then, of course, with more people, you'll get more other things to tax and on and on and on. And local businesses could use the influx of people. Because that's, with apartments, 180 units, you're gonna get a lot of people, but you're also gonna have turnover of people. So they don't get bored with the restaurant. Do this, they go here, they discover this, they go to the Trolley Museum, whatever, pick something. It's, to me, this is the type of thing that we need in that area, which is what it's all about. So there you go. That's my opinion.
Thank you. Tom Buckley?
Yes, during most of the discussion here tonight, my answers probably more or less have been answered. Your question about two residents, how they feel about a 40-foot building in their backyard. The medical center, that's for general public use. It's not just for supporting the apartments. Okay, that's good. I don't think anything else at this point, because most of the answers have been answered by the time you get down to the end there. So I'm kind of satisfied at this point.
That's all that signed up, but is there anyone in the audience that would like to comment on this application? Sir,
Sorry,
yes, please.
All right, I'm Darren Andrews. I am at the 28 Wells Road, which is borders a little over 3,000. Not the sausage cut out.
Oh, sorry, if you come up to the podium that has a microphone, it'll record better.
Can't hear.
Okay.
We can do that.
Let's.
I'll start over. I'm Darren Andrews, 28 Wells Road. You don't see it on this map here, but I border about 30, I think it's 3,300 linear feet of your property. I have 42 acres south of you. So I think you guys did an excellent job. You actually knocked off almost all the questions I had, but wanted to say a couple of them. I am concerned about what your additional use. I understand that's not dealing with this application here, but you mentioned you have some 2 additional spaces that you are able to develop, and I'm curious what you're doing there with those. I don't know if you can speak into them. I do think it does make a difference. Depending on traffic, you guys mentioned I drive this road every day. I drive it during high traffic hours, and it is a big concern. I understand the reports you do. I study numbers all day long too, but I don't care what the numbers say. Driving that road is difficult. You pull out there, you sit there, Wells Road, moving that bar is not going to make any difference at all. None of us stop for that bar. We all pull up to the intersection, makes no difference. So I think that's a big concern. I understand that'll be addressed later on, but also those of us that drive it every day, it's a big concern for us. But coming back to the design, I'm glad you guys mentioned it. I don't like the design of this building at all. I am glad I'm not the one that has it right in my backyard looking at it. I hope I can't see it from my house, but I wish you could come up with something that was a little bit different. The other thing I'm concerned about is changing this from B3. I believe B3 zone has height restrictions. Is that correct?
Every zone does, yeah.
Okay. What is the height restriction of a B3? Is it 35 feet?
It's based on how far away it is from North Road.
Okay.
So if you're within 200 feet, it's 2 stories. 200 to 400, 3 stories, and greater than 400 feet, 4 stories.
So this proposed zoning change will have a big difference on the height restriction. And that's correct. Okay. So to me, that's a reason to take in consideration to not allowing the zone change. That makes a big difference for the people that planned. I purchased this knowing that it's zone B3 and realizing what is allowed there. I have a list I looked at 4 years ago when I bought it. I knew what was allowed by the town in there. I purchased land knowing that would be developed. Now we're looking at a zone change with a much higher building being allowed to go in there. And it is something that I really hate to see come into the community. When I first sat in this room before I ever started building my property, I looked at this room, the Norman Rockwell pictures, the feel of the town. I said, I love this town. This is a town I want to raise my family in, and looking forward to building here. And so did it. Built a lot of blood, sweat, tears, and 2 broken bones, and I built a house here. And I see that change. So a couple of concerns I have with it. Again, we'll hear from the people that have this right in their backyard. But thank you.
Anyone else? Hey, Andrew, give it back to you for your comments.
Thank you. I think I only have 2 comments as, Mr. Anderson, Mr. Buckley were really just reiterating some of the questions that the commission had and then providing comment. To Mr. Andrews, questions about what, if anything, is going to happen along Wells Road. At this time, there are no plans for Wells Road. There is a small portion of developable property. If someday that were to be developed, of course, we would have to comply with the regulations and come forward and get whatever approvals would be required depending on that use. As of right now, certainly not part of this application. There's no proposed development on Wells Road or no rezoning, nothing happening on Wells Road at this time. That's of course not to foreclose it because people have ultimately the right to develop, but that's not part of this application. There are no plans at this time. I won't touch on traffic again. I certainly understand. I think we've addressed that fully throughout the public hearing, not to dismiss it, but we've presented our information and we'll hopefully come back with additional insight from OSTA. But kind of tail spinning from traffic and going to Mr. Andrews' last comments about concern with changing from the B3. Again, I go back to the POCD and the entire point of the Northerly Business Corridor, the entire point of the PCD regulation or PCDD regulation in your zoning regulations. It's to incentivize development along this area directly in line with what we're proposing here. So I certainly understand that change is scary, it's difficult, but as Mr. Anderson said, North Road, including this parcel, is it's stagnant. It has been vacant for a number of years, and the town has had in its POCD since 2016, because that's the POCD, and I'd be interested to see what the 2026 POCD will hold, has had this development or this parcel earmarked for development. So certainly I understand and I'm not dismissing the neighbors' concerns, but we've tried to be sensitive to as many neighbors as possible by concentrating the development along the business corridor on North Road and away from some of the more residential areas. Of course, we have the 2 residential properties on our frontage, and as I mentioned, they received notice. We have yet to hear from them. We will be reaching out ourselves as we proceed through the planning process. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I just ask through you if the commission has any further questions on this zone change and master plan application.
No, does anyone?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. So just a couple of closing comments. Again, a big thank you to the commission as always for its patience and its insightful comments. A big thank you to staff. Again, I'm still amazed that Ruth was able to get everyone in the room for that preliminary staff meeting. I don't think I've ever seen a pre-app staff meeting with that many people in one room. It was impressive, a testament to your staff's commitment to these applications, which is great. I'm going to start with the PCD and tail into the POCD. Again, very similar comments to what I said for 173 North Road. We've reiterated it here tonight. The purpose of the PCD is to encourage well-designed, diverse development and usage, which will help to support existing neighborhood businesses, act as anchors and employment hubs within identified commercial nodes, and create increased diversity within the town's grand list. Pretty much what Mr. Anderson said. And right in your own regulations. The regulation goes on to talk about the vision, highlighting flexibility in site planning and facilitating high quality site design, diversity of uses, and robust environmental protection standards. This plan, again, we've done, North Winkler has done a great job with our consultant team to really hit the nail on the head, I think, on those goals for the PCD. We have a site that's, again, appropriately located along a key commercial corridor on former agricultural land that has been sitting stagnant, to use Mr. Anderson's words, or vacant for a number of years, not being put to productive use. We have a tremendously smart site design that has managed to protect while work with, not work against, the interesting environmental constraints we have on site with all of the wetlands, watercourses, floodplains that we're dealing with. To provide buildings that have been designed to be compliant, and a number of site improvements that, as you heard from Mr. Daly, we've studied and we've ensured that we can build this in accordance with the appropriate standards, like the Stormwater Quality Manual, the State Stormwater Quality Manual. Ultimately, the commission has seen a brief sneak peek of it, the sensitive landscaping and site placement, which we'll come back with in more detail at the special permit and site plan process. And then, of course, we have a use that is going to address housing diversity and housing need in East Windsor. You heard from Mr. Sylvester on trying to provide a different product than what you're seeing at 173. So you're encouraging and attracting new residents into East Windsor at every stage of life, whether they're new folks starting out in their first apartment, young professionals, or retirees who are hoping to downsize into a more amenitized, community-based building. We're trying to hit all of that with North Winkler's investment in East Windsor. And this, I think, is kind of that final step in getting that continuum for North Road. I'm not going to beat a dead horse, but again, mentioning the significant public utility benefit with that extension of the water main, which will benefit, again, this site. And again, all of this has been in furtherance, as we discussed, Mr. Chairman. We took a look at the POCD, what you were trying to achieve on this northward corridor in terms of uses, placement, so on and so forth. And I think we've hopefully addressed that and met that here. While we're on the POCD, I will note that for this specific area, the POCD notes the difficult development constraints in this area on stormwater, wetlands, and so forth. I just read it before the meeting, so I wanted to highlight that again. This is a tough site to develop. It's a big site, but we have a lot of constraints here. And again, I think hopefully this plan really highlights how sensitive we've been to that. And of course, we'll be going through that in detail with the Wetlands Commission, hopefully. Ultimately, we believe we've met the standard. We've complied with the POCD. It's in furtherance of the town's plan. It's in compliance with the town's comprehensive plan. And hopefully it's a great benefit to the town of East Windsor. We believe it will be. And North Winkler's excited to hopefully continue its partnership with the town. With that, I'll say thank you.
Anyone have anything else you want to add?
Sure.
Okay, now I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing on application PZ 2026-17. The applicant owner is North Winkler East Windsor LLC.
We have a motion to close the public hearing. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Dave. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Public hearing is closed. You shouldn't feel they're satisfied to vote on this application?
Yeah.
Okay. Entertain a motion on this application.
I'll make a motion to approve application PZ 2026-17, a zone change, map change. The applicant owner is North Winkler EW LLC for a portion of the property at 120 North Windsor. 124-24-11 from B3 to PCDD. The approval is granted subject to conformance with the reference plans as may be modified by the commission in this approval and the following conditions/modifications. The reference map, is in the July 8th memo from Ruth Ann Calabrese. Our findings are the parcel satisfies the eligibility requirements of section 817.3 as it is greater than 4 acres in size and is in the northern business corridor as shown on the future land use plan in the 2016 POCD. 2, the preliminary concept plan meets the requirements of section 817.4B 1A of the East Windsor zoning regulations. 3, the zone change supports the development that proposes to install the zone change supports a development that proposes to install public water to the benefit of the North Road Business Corridor. And there are 3 conditions: the approval and the reference map with the written description of the subject area. It's of the area subject to the zone change to PCDD shall be filed with the East Winds on the East Windsor land records. 2, the effective date for this zone change will be after filing with the town clerk and publication of the decision in the Journal Inquirer. And 3, the map amendment is not a development approval. Development activity may occur following special permit approval. And 4, failure to receive a special permit approval on the site plan within 12 months of this approval will become null and void.
We have a motion to approve the application. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Dave. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous, you have your approval. Moving on, we have no old business.
We're not done yet. I'm like, we're done. Oh, yeah. It's full. Business, new business. Yeah. Welcome, thank you.
Right, so we have no old business or no new business. Under other business, we have a discussion on the POCD.
Homework. Mike and I have been drafting sections of the POCD. So this is a narrative minus a couple of sections that are still in progress. Invites. How about 2 bites?
Thank you.
All right, so some of it you read already, the first drafts of some changes. I just want to say this is a unformatted. We figure with changes, we'll just be chasing stuff that falls off the page. So we'll do that last. We did, for your entertainment, we did stick in some photos. Correct. I put a couple of trees. Suzanne.
Big tree.
For
Big ones.
land use and zoning piece. We're still working on pulling that together. And then the demographics. And then I think we're gonna have like a closing section as well that'll talk about just a summary of implementation objectives. It's different than the POCD that we have now, where that document is just peppered with action items. And so we will include it in an appendix to say where we did with the action items, when we went through that. That'll be included in the report, but it's gonna be written in more of a, this is what we want to achieve and not so much a,
A task list, yeah.
yes.
How, time-wise, do you think we're on pace to get this thing wrapped up on time?
I think we're gonna wrap it up this month and get it over to,
Yeah.
we're pushing.
Plan.
Yep.
So this is the last section you need us to review?
Nope. There'll be one more.
Okay, because, when we have just next meeting is gonna be the 28th, so that'll be the last of this month. And then you say we're gonna have one more section to review after that? Which will be on the 11th?
Yeah,
or-
well, we can put out to
Okay.
folks too. Good stuff.
And it has to go for, you can continue to amend once it's been referred. I mean, so there's still, it's just more of a, are we headed in the right direction?
Yeah.
Are there
Do we have the
components that are
pieces?
missing?
Okay.
But, you know, we have to give 65 days for Board of Selectmen and CROG. So that's a lot of time that, you know, less important pieces like Ruth was mentioning about
Yes.
how do you distill implementation, and those are things that,
So that'll get us back mid-October. So, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
which is the target, right? Finish in July. We'll work
Yeah,
out.
I mean, if
So
if
pretty
in a
November.
perfect world, it would have been referred already. Well, the 19th is what I had. So,
We're a couple of weeks off.
Stole their picture.
but.
Yeah.
Okay, we will make it happen.
Okay.
Yeah, Stephanie. Yeah,
This,
he stole the picture.
It's already in there.
Yes.
I guess that's in the half.
Yeah, but I, you know, it's-
Thank you.
I make it a two-story.
Okay,
Thank you.
very good.
Let's go with this.
No correspondence, no business meeting, no need for an executive session, so. Does anyone have anything else they want to bring before the commission? Not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn the meeting?
We have a motion to adjourn. Do we have a second?
Second.
Call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned at 8:46.
A lot longer, I thought.